Okay, I see a phone number. Maybe that's Will. Now I see Erica.
Will, we have your phone is on mute. Heather, are you able to unmute his phone?
Yeah, it doesn't give me that option. It just, there we go.
How about now?
There you
go. Perfect. Erica, can you say something? See if we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, are you actually asking me to talk?
Yes, I am. And we're live on YouTube. So anytime you want to convene the meeting, Jeff, it's all yours.
Hey, well, thanks everybody for being here tonight. The City of Bowling Green Planning Commission meeting for November of 2020 will come to order. Heather, please call the roll.
Mr. Earhart.
I'm here.
Mr. Betts.
Here.
Miss Ennis.
Here.
Mr. McCumber.
Here.
Mr. Michael. Mr. Joe Phillips.
Here.
Mr. Chris Phillips. Miss Leek.
Here.
And Mr. Spittler.
Here.
Okay, we've all received a copy of the last meeting's minute, which was several months ago. Did anybody have any changes or corrections they wanted to make to those minutes? Okay, seeing no takers, we will approve those minutes as read, which brings us to lobby visitation. I'm guessing there's nobody there in the city building who would like to do the planning, but if
there's a few people here, but nobody's jumping up to the podium.
Visitation and move on to our next item on the agenda, which is a zoning request for 2.761 acres located at the northwest corner of Thurston Avenue and East Wooster Street in the public parking lot along Manville Avenue from S3 planned institutional zoning and R2 single family residential zoning class of Bowling Green Gateway, and the City of Bowling Green is the applicant. As is our procedure, we'll set that for public hearing at our next meeting, which will be December the 2nd. The next item on our agenda is another rezoning request for 0.14 acres located at 518 and 522 East Wooster Street, identified as parcel number B07-511-190-321-006-000 from B5 Transitional Central Business District zoning classification to Bowling Green Gateway District zoning classification. And Craig and Barbara Cheatwood are the applicants. Here again, we will set this for public hearing at our next meeting on December the 2nd. That brings us to the next item, which is an alley vacation of the west-east alley between Derby Avenue and 8th Street off of Manville Avenue, and Tamara McCullough is the petitioner. Here again, we will set this for public hearing on December 2nd. So that all brings us to our reports from the ZBA and from the planning department. Judy, what can you tell us about those massive meetings you've been having while we haven't been meeting?
Tell you, my report could last longer than this whole planning committee meeting. To go back to the September, and I won't read you all the requests for variances, we had 3 requests. One of the requests had 4 different variances attached to it. The first one was from Rob Hall of Toledo Signs, and it was for they wanted to extend to 42 inches from the building face for trotters. We got them to amend it to 30 inches and that passed. The next one was allow the construction of an addition of porch. That one passed. The next one was Christopher Fraser, the agent of BG Hotel. The first request in the variance was for the construction of a 169.56 square foot wall sign on east of the elevation of the building, which would exceed the 112 maximum allowable size of a sign in the B2 general commercial zoning district. And that was a tie, which means it was denied. And the other 2 were of the same request were for a square foot pylon sign that would be off premises and include 3 future tenants. That was granted. And the construction of a total of 4 signs, 3 wall signs and 1 pylon was granted. The last part was a request to exceed the number of sign footage allowed. But since we had denied the first one, that one was withdrawn. So that was the September meeting. The October meeting, we had 9 variances. 4 of them were for 6-foot fences because everybody happened to live where they had 2 front yards, the side yard and the backyard. They were all granted. We granted one for a fence that would also exceed that wasn't necessarily on the side yard. We allowed a variance for the construction of a attached garage. And then the last one we had was for the Garden Grove townhouses. And it contained 3 different variances. The first one, he wanted the construction of a 6-foot tall fence around a dumpster, which we granted. The second one, they wanted to exceed the 14 square foot total maximum sign aggregate by 47 square feet to allow the construction of 2 33-inch by 60-inch monument signs and to continue the use of the 2 existing 36 by 72-inch wall signs. We strongly suggested that taking the wall signs down and just having the monument signs was more than adequate. They did not wish to amend their variance, so that particular request went down. And that negated the third variant, the request for his variance, which was to allow one of the 2 proposed 33-inch by 60-inch monument signs to be located 6 feet from the city right away. We were concerned that the monument signs, the wall signs on the building were directly in line with the monument signs, and we thought that was a little bit over signage use since we're trying to control signs. And that briefly is all of the zoning board's report.
Great. I'm curious, Judy, were those virtual meetings or were those all in-person meetings?
They were a combination, but most of them were in person.
Oh, nice. Well,
We're a
it sounds-
brave group on the zoning board.
Yeah, and with a lot of work too. So nice job. Heather, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yes, I will. I haven't did a report obviously since we've last met, so we'll catch you up on a lot of major things going on. First of all, zoning permits that have been reviewed this year compared to last year. We are down a little bit. We're at 370 permits so far this year compared to 387 at this time last year. 17 single family housing starts so far this year compared to 26 at this time last year. Those are usually what people are most interested in. As far as new commercial industrial construction, since we've last met, we've issued permits for additions to Bowling Green Manor Care. That's at 1021 West Poe. That was back in June. We issued permits for addition and site improvements to the Wood County Board of Developmental Disabilities at 1921 East Gypsy Lane back in August. And then we literally just approved an addition that's fairly large to Nova Vision. That is at 524 East Woodland Circle back in Woodbridge Business Park in obviously October. Permits that are currently under review are on hold. The Speedway rebuild on East Wooster, that's still on hold. We're just waiting for some items from them. We just received a fairly large addition to the Ashley Furniture Warehouse. That's in Bellard Business Park, 1329 Bellard Drive, that's under review. And then the Bowling Green Healthcare Real Estate Project, that's for assisted living facility on South Dunbridge. That is actually on hold until spring of 2021, thanks to COVID. So we'll keep you apprised of that one. We currently have no subdivisions under review. Continuing work on implementation of all our recent planning documents. So as far as that goes, we have started the update to the zoning code. We're reviewing some preliminary documents now. That's a really big project compared with just the daily items going on. It's a lot to review. We had a virtual open house for the proposed Campbell Hill Road Alumni Drive and East Wooster Roundabout. Why is that important? Well, East Wooster was a big part of our future land use plan and continuing improvements to the look, the feel, and the safety of East Wooster. And I attached a handout about it just to give you a summary of the decorative lighting, stone pavers, plantings, and it just looks very attractive for that area as those improvements continue. And other big news that just happened Monday evening at City Council, our Historic Preservation Commission gave a proposed ordinance to City Council for their review, which was referred to Planning Commission because a portion of that ordinance basically makes changes to the zoning code, chapter 150. So that's why Planning Commission will be involved in that. So we will put that on your agenda for December, and then normally you would set that for a hearing. So that would be likely January 6th. So we can talk about that further next month. As far as some other items, a big item that ended on October 15th was the 2020 census. I guess the jury's still out on that one and what the numbers look for Bowling Green, but obviously there are some concerns given that count really is potentially impacted. And again, we'll know more hopefully towards the end of the year. Also on October 6th, the city held a meeting reviewing the assessment of current city facilities, municipal building specifically. And I want you to be aware of that because obviously it is public construction. And second to that is we are zoned a special district. So at some point it might end up in your lap to review that site plan if that goes further, hopefully with the new city building. And then a couple things I forgot to mention. We did revise the zoning code that we like to do annually with our text amendments. A lot of you are more, you don't like paper. So if you would like a paper copy, please let Jamie or I know and we'll get you that. But the biggest thing was, we have the East Wooster buffering that's new and some other tweaks here and there. So if you do want a paper copy, please contact us. In addition to that, I had my first meeting with the State Historic Preservation Office today. They invited me to be on their advisory board for their plan that they do every 5 years. So I thought that was pretty special that they're including Bowling Green for us not having historic preservation yet, an actual ordinance with local control. So I thought it was really exciting today to hear about what they're thinking for their next plan. And we represent Northwest Ohio on that board, and they have different disciplines there. So whether it's architecture, planning, history, archaeology, I think it's exciting that Bowling Green was included, and I'm happy to serve in that capacity. So that's it, unless you have any specific questions for me.
Anybody have
I
any
have a
questions?
small question. Just to remind me,
Yes.
did Bowling Green Manor give up on building a new building out by the community center and are doing an addition to their current building instead?
You are correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they're consolidating with the other facility that's on the other side of the fairgrounds. So yeah, that's vacant now. They sold the land back to the original owner. Mhm.
Any other questions for Heather? Okay, well, with that, thank everybody for coming, and meeting is adjourned. By the way, Will, you look like you belong in a noir film with that lighting and that real bright light in the background there. Anyway, thanks. See you guys.
Take care.
Sorry about that.